This is a episode between Charlotte Hannah and Lindsay Byster talking about the embodied union.
I'm so excited.
This is great. Cannot wait. So, how do we kick it off?
I suppose I would ask you the question of what is embodied union to you?
Embodied union to me is the coming together of a relationship. It's almost like a conscious relationship. It's the easiest dynamic to say, but that's got a lot of jargon. So what I would say is it's knowing that you're in a relationship to heal personal wounds, I guess, and inside of that also come together in a way that feels amazing, and knowing that you can have both. You can have the depths of relationship and repair and healing, and at the same time be in deep, loving passion with each other.
I love that. I love that. So for me, embodied in your body and then union together. So when I think about those words, it's how can I be in my body in presence and in relationship. So that's a part of it for me. And then I agree that it's utilizing the container for growth. Like I believe that the greatest and deepest purpose of relationship is to come together and to heal, to utilize it for healing, and also just to have an epic experience.
True that. So who doesn't want that?
Who don't want that? So I guess I would ask you next then, if that's embodied union, what does the opposite of embodied union look like? Because I think that's what is happening in the mainstream. Like the majority of people, I don't think are relating in this way.
No, I don't think they are either. I think what's happening when people fall into relationship is it starts off with an enchantment and everyone's best behavior, desperately trying to hide the poor qualities or the negative qualities of oneself, to the point where the couple are entrenched with each other somehow. And what I also see inside of that is a lot of stress and a lot of, to my absolute surprise, the level of or lack of communication inside of a relationship. So couples that don't really sit down and talk about everything and go deep with each other around things that are vulnerable, and almost like a taking for granted the other, is what I typically see. And also added to that is a level of resignation towards the other. They're just like this. That's how they are. And like almost putting their partner in a box of how they are and seeing them as some static thing that they're in, and that it can't change or be different or be amazing. It was something great and now it is not. Like that's fixed, and almost like that's the narrative of relationship. So many things like happy wife, happy life. That's just what she is like. Like I work predominantly with men, so I just hear it from a man's perspective. It's like we have sex less, or everyone's too busy now because we have kids. Just whatever it is that causes relationship to almost be stagnant is how I feel like it is. There's no conscious effort to create a spark and to keep that tender flame alive.
So there's a disenchantment, essentially.
Yep.
And what I'm hearing as well, like it's often people are just falling into relationship because it's the done thing. We've been together for X amount of time. Now we're together. Now we live together. Now we do the thing. And there's not really that intention behind it. We kind of just fall into it. And in the beginning, when there is that enchantment, I don't necessarily think that people are desperately trying to put their best self forward. I think it's quite easy. I think it's like this effortless Like while we're trying to cement the commitment in the other, it's almost like it's effortless in the beginning because your conscious mind is kind of driving the ship. It's easy to be intentional and deliberate while we're securing that attachment. And then when we get comfortable, when we get a little bit disenchanted, that's when our unconscious material starts to bubble up from the unconscious. And then we have trauma meeting trauma because there hasn't been that intentional conversation around utilizing the container for growth.
Yeah, there's kind of the, oh, we're together because it's a fairy tale and it should always be that way.
This is the done thing. This is the next step.
Or the ultimate trap is, oh, I'm in relationship for love. Love from the other.
It's seeking from the external.
Yes.
You're mine now. Yes.
Why is that? Why do people fall into that, do you think?
I think that people are seeking love outside of themselves because of their wounding. Because of their childhood wounding, they didn't receive, like often the primary caregiver wasn't able to provide, they didn't have the capacity to provide the little child with the love needed to develop a secure attachment. So then we grow up into these adults. And by the time we can walk and talk, we're already so addicted to seeking love outside of ourselves. And then as adults, we're utilizing relationships to find that love so that we can feel safe or feel whole, knowing that that's really ultimately setting yourself up for failure when you're looking outside of yourself. And I think most relationships, we're seeing the other as a way to feel more whole.
Yes, rather than it's an inside job. I think too there's an element of societal conditioning around the fairy tale as well, like what we see in movies and outside of that, rather than thinking about it. I don't think a lot of people think about their childhood wounding unless they have like a certain level of awareness, but it's almost like what gets modeled. I'm seeking that, or I'm seeking not that.
I actually think that we are unconsciously seeking what was modeled. I think if we've grown up in an environment that's uncomfortable and there's tension in the home, we then go on to unconsciously seek that and repeat it and replay it. And what we're consciously seeking, like you said, is what we've seen in the fairy tale. We think that we want the different experience than what we see. I'm not going to be like my mom. I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm going to have the fairy tale. That's what it's like in the movies. And unconsciously at the same time, we're also seeking the exact same experience that we had because that's what we believe we're worthy of.
So what do we do?
The first thing is insight and awareness. I think a lot of people hit it when it's like a rock bottom moment and it's like, no more, like I need to circuit break. And that's usually when people find self-development or psychology or healing of some point. And then you get to start learning about yourself. You start to get to learn about your triggers. And then you recognize that your relationship is designed to trigger you.
Yeah, I think it's once you leave a certain amount of people or the relationship ends and another one starts and then the same thing starts to occur. It's for a lot of people, it's like how many times do you go through that roundabout before you take the exit?
And recognize that you're also the common denominator.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And stop blaming externally. And so I think that's why people get stuck in that loop of one to the next, because they blame the partner. There's something wrong with the partner. I'm going to leave. They go into the next one. It's the same thing. Why am I attracting the same kind of person? Because your unconscious mind wants to repeat the same pattern.
And this is the underpinning.
Yes. And so you asked, what do we do? The first thing is awareness, recognizing that that's actually what's happening, that our unconscious mind is driving the ship. And then we do the work. We do the self-development work. We clean up the limiting beliefs. We go deep. And then the fun part is then having the awareness that a relationship can be utilized for healing. So then we choose embodied union as opposed to what we've been doing when we've just been stuck in the loop.
Yeah. So we actually can start to learn how to do relationship.
Yes. We learn how to do it with ourselves first, and then we learn how we can do it with the other.
Yes. Because that's the thing. It's like, I think for so many of us, there's just an expectation that we should be great at it. You know, inherently, it's just what we do. Oh, I don't need help with that. And it's like, oh, well, I think, you know, it definitely benefits. Everyone can run, put a pair of sneakers on and just go. But if
I
you
will
got
not
coaching,
run for a bus.
but if you get coaching, you get really good at running. So it's like having the awareness that there's actually a lot of parts to this that's humans are dynamic. So like, you know, being able to support people in their relationship by doing something like embodied union, what a great start.
Yeah, and it's like you just said it. Like we can all be a human. Everyone thinks they know how to be a human, but that's why we have self-development and psychology and learning and coaches, because it's like, let's be the best human. Like, let's not survive, let's actually thrive. It's the same as your relationship. Do you want a mediocre relationship where it's almost like a battlefield, where there's silent treatment and poor communication and tit for tat and resentment and mismatches in libido, like whatever it is? It's like, that's what's happening. Do you know there's actually another way? Like, do people know?
And that they can actually have it differently with the person that they're with right now, regardless of the story.
Right. So it's like, I'm just going to leave and go to the next one. Well, you can do that once you've done some healing and you've had your own level of awareness around what you want in relationship, like what your boundaries are and the kind of person that you're looking for. Maybe it is time to leave, but also not necessarily. If two people in a relationship want to do the work and they can cultivate a level of presence and curiosity and compassion and fascination, then the relationship that they're in can be like it's right at the start again. Re-enchantment. Super exciting.
So how do people find out about it?
So Embodied Union, what we've just been talking about, we've decided to run a training, right? It's an online training and you can find it through either of our social media platforms. And essentially it's for couples across the spectrum, right? It's not just if you are in a relationship needing repair. It's also if you've just come out the gate and you want to set a really strong foundation and just go in with the tools because you know you don't want to do what you've done. You want a new experience.
Yep. Or you're wanting to just take the relationship to the next level. Or maybe there's a mismatch somewhere and you can't quite seem to figure it out.
Well, the one that you mentioned before, you get a complaint from men often. I think you said that my wife or my woman doesn't want to sleep with me as much. There's a mismatch in libido. Actually, when a woman is met in the right ways, then her libido will be higher than yours. Often is the case.
Oh, very often.
So that one complaint that's super common, actually there's just something going on, whether it's unspoken words, poor communication. Unsafety is a huge one.
Lack of presence.
So it's like if you think there's a mismatch in your relationship, actually is it any of those things? Let's work on that first. Let's figure it out.
And do you even know what that is? Like this is the other part that I've sort of come to realize for so many people is there's just a complete lack of awareness around what is missing.
Well, you don't know what you don't know. And because the majority is relating in this way, how do you know?
Yeah, and if you're not around other couples or a couple that you see that are totally embodied union, like in that space, it's very hard to go, oh, well, all of our partners are kind of the same. Everyone else is pretty unhappy as well. That's just how we do it. This must be it.
At least we're not as fighting as much as they are. At least I'm getting more sex than they are. Like it's just, what's the bar? Where's
or
the bar
I've
set?
got more money, or it's like this part of humans where it's almost like we're in a competition with other couples or some version of that and comparing. And I think, well, that's not really by design, is it? Like, how about you create your relationship from the inside out and really design it as what's aligned for you? And it could be bigger than your own relationship. It could be creating family, creating community, creating a business together, all these things that you might want to produce and use inside of this relationship. how do you take it to the next level so you can really reinforce the strength of the relationship as well?
There's just so much possibility when you are communicating and there is that level of presence, because then comes creation. And I also notice a lot of my clients that I work with, often it's couples have fallen into the trap of just becoming really good buddies. Like, we're really great mates now.
No.
And we parent really well together and we're a really good team. And like, it's great. You need to be a team, right? But when that's happened, there's often that lack of intimacy. The passion piece has been dropped and there's just a mateship. So it's like, these couples, they've got a really strong foundation. They're starting from somewhere really great. But it's like, how can we inspire desire by bringing in passion and presence?
And play.
And so much play.
Yeah. Like, that part for people is like also just bringing back that relationship is actually quite fun. Relating can be really fun.
Relating can be fun. A relationship can feel like home and it can be fun.
Absolutely. That's it.
So yeah, Embodied Union, it's a 5-week training, super immersive, guided practices, lots of theory. We go into attachment theory, teach you ways to repair.
2-on-2.
2-on-2.
Yeah.
And so I'm a holistic psychologist, Lindsay, somatic psychotherapy, leader of men's work. I work with women. So we're just weaving that all together. It's not that we're saying we've been together for so long so we know what to do. It's coming from my background with my training and my experience inside relating, and from working with couples, and then your experiences inside of the relationships you've danced.
Yeah, all the different versions of relating and, you know, marriage and parenthood and business together with partner and all those things. It's like the level of experience that I feel like we can offer and share and have already been sharing has been incredible. So it's whether, however the relationship looks, you know, we just want to take people through some really fundamental. It's fundamental. It seems basic, but it's the stuff that really works, you know, and creating that really solid foundation of connection.
It's often the simple stuff that's the most powerful. Just a little pivot.
So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, I'd love for you to contact either Charlotte or myself, Charlie, and let's get started. Let's tee up a conversation around this as soon as we can, and let's get you Embodied Union.
Let's just have a new experience. Have a new experience.
Thank you.
Peace.